It's a beautiful day on the Black Ark, and we are a terrible clan of sneaky rat assassins. Welcome to Total War, Warhammer 2, The Shadow and the Blade, our new hero pack, which includes, as I'm sure you're already aware, Deathmaster, Snitch of Clan Eshin and Malus, Darkblade. Creative Assembly have given me early access to the DLC, allow me to do some videos leading up to release. First up, we're going to have a look at Deathmaster Snitch, and we're on a lovely new map, which is the Black Ark Landing, and it's like a Black Ark has, well, as the map is landed. It's like it's landed. They've got some camps set up. There's probably some volleyball going on in slow motion. It's fantastic. It's very exciting. So we're playing as Clan Eshin, which are a new faction for the Skaven. Clan Eshin, a clan of sneaky assassin rats in a species that's already quite sneaky. Not to be confused with Clan Escher, who are just a clan of rats who have a lot of stairs that don't really go anywhere. They're very quite niche. So let's have a quick look at some of the units, the brand new units we've got going on there. Let's have a look at Deathmaster Snitch. There he is. As always, the models look absolutely fantastic. I mean, you just can't fault them for just how good these models look. I mean, even his eye, look at his eye, it's so good. And also he does this neat little city down thing sometimes, where he kind of like goes into a lotus position. And that's pretty cool. So Deathmaster Snitch, he's got a lot of physical resistance to start off with. He's got Encourage, obviously. He can Vanguard deploy. Obviously, he's got Stalk, Scurry away like all Skaven. He's got the Cloak of Shadow, so that's one of his legendary abilities. So that afflicts everyone around him with less melee defense. Leadership, of course, makes it easy for him to murder them. He's got Slippery, so that's more melee defense and speed on a cooldown. He's got Concealment Bomb, which is very, very useful. And he's got Deathmaster Sigil there, which means he can freeze an enemy unit in place if they're trying to get away. They ain't gonna. And then he's got Whirl of Weeping Blades, another legendary ability, which basically allows him to mince lots of people around him, which is pretty fun. Okay, so that's Deathmaster Snitch. Off you go, back over there. And then we've got probably one of my favourite units in the new patch, which is, or the new DLC, I should say, which is the Clan Eshin Sorcerer. That's right, I call these guys Evil Splinter. Because they've got the staff. Admittedly, it's covered in warpstone, but never mind. So these guys are new casters for Clan Eshin. They have a whole slew of new spells, which is quite exciting. So we can have a look at the spell browser. Probably the best way to see the new spells. So they've got warp stars. They can chuck some warp stars at people. So you can see the effects there. Increased number of missiles on the overcast. They've got Skitterleap upgraded, which is, well, that's just a normal one. There we go, Skitterleap, and then Skitterleap. You know what that one is anyway. Armor of Darkness, so that's going to increase area effect. Yep, good. And then we've got Veil of Shadows. So this is a Vortex. It doesn't do any damage, but it does disrupt the enemy formation. So you can use this basically if you've got a big front line or a big tanky unit. You can slap it on top of them. They'll get knocked about, and then you can like jump them with your lighter armored units, all that kind of thing. That's pretty good. And Overcast, it has a speed reduction and leadership debuff there as well. Brittle Bones, which reduces a character or area effect on the Overcast. Their speed, melee defense, and vigor. I mean, 40 melee defense reduction is pretty huge. That means your guys are going to be hitting a lot and doing a lot of damage. Particularly good on like a hero character or something, because then Deathmaster Snitch can just run in and, you know, cut them to pieces. And then Black Whirlwind, which is probably one of the best looking spells in the game, in my opinion. It's basically a stationary vortex. Just love the smoke effect. Look at this. It looks absolutely fantastic. Look, it's got a vortex, a bit like Pit of Shades, which I love, and just does a lot of damage. Pretty good. Okay, good. So that's Evil Splinter. I love him. I've only had him for a few days, and if anything happened to him, I'd kill myself and everyone in the room. Okay, then we've got the Warp Grinders. Let's put them down there. So these guys have got big fuck-off drills. Yes, that's right. That's good. I mean, sure, why not? If you're going to drill someone, drill them hard with warpstone, apparently. So these guys have got a couple of abilities. They're okay. They're armor-piercing unit. They don't have a lot of melee attack and defense. They can Vanguard deploy, and they can attack walls as well. They've got a couple of abilities here. So they can Warp Quake, which basically does direct damage around them to everyone. And it's not bad. And then you've got Seismic Snare, which will freeze everyone around them. They're quite a niche unit, in my opinion. But, you know, fairly interesting anyway. Let's have a look at the Triads. So these are the Eshin Triads. There they go. They are basically glaive infantry, sort of a a step between clan rat spears and storm vermin with halberds. They are low in number. There's only 54 of them, and this is on very large unit size, so there's not a lot of them. They can Vanguard deploy, though, and they do have Stalk, like with all units. They also have some physical resistance as well, so they're pretty, not bad. Not bad at all. And then we've got we've also got a Regiment of Renown version. There they are. So these guys have an ability which basically creates a doppelganger of them, and they've got this neat little lightning effect on their arms and legs. It's pretty sexy, guys. Looking good. Like it a lot. Very, very nice. Okay, we've got another Regiment of Renown here. This isn't a new one, but it is a Regiment of Renown. So we've got Visk's Death Squad. There we go. These guys look, I think their sort of the cloak looks amazing. Really, really nice. And they have a special ability. Where is it here? Duck and Weave. There we go. So as long as their leadership isn't wavering, they get more physical resistance, more melee defense, and more speed. So basically just upgraded Death Runners, but still very, very nice. Okay, and then we're moving on to one. I mean, I love Evil Splinter, don't get me wrong, love him to bits, but one of the best units in the game is now the Poison Wind Mortars, especially because they have this effect where they kind of drop the ball, he gives a little sigh of relief and picks it up, because obviously these things are explosive. And these things, I mean, you know the Poison Wind Globes, right? And the Death Globes. Well, these things, they launch them at long range, basically, so you don't need to worry about being close anymore. You can they don't have a huge amount of range, to be honest, as you can see. There's still there's definitely a sweet spot there. They do have quite a far short range, so they can't launch beyond this point, so you've got kind of this little window here, but still they are pretty awesome, pretty devastating. They do damage over time, and they're pretty good. And then we've got the Regiment of Renowned version, and these guys are friggin' insane. They launch, rather than Poison Wind, they launch Death Globes. So already you're thinking, okay, that sounds quite nasty. Yes, it does. But also, they cluster bomb. So as they launch the Death Globes, they then explode in midair and then rain Death Globes down. I mean, it's just, it's the best thing. I love these guys. Maybe even more than Evil Splinter. I've come out and said it. Anyway, so we're gonna attack this Black Ark over here on the Black Ark Landing. We've got some Dark Elves hiding on their ship. I'm sure, what we're going to do is we're going to send some Skaven slaves and the mortars ahead, and then everyone else is going to be sneaking behind. So obviously the Dark Elves are going to see the Skaven slaves approaching and think, oh look, free merchandise. And no doubt, the captain's probably going to give a speech a bit emo-ish, like they do. Probably, an ill wind blows. I went across my window. Anyway, you know what Dark Elves are like. They're just really melodramatic. So they're probably going to be doing that. And then we're going to kill them all, basically. So let's crack on with that. So the Dark Elves have spotted some free slaves coming straight for them. I mean, that's not an opportunity you pass up every day. Or is it? Because they're surrounded and they've got rats on board their ship, which is not unusual, but these rats are slightly bigger than usual. They're rats of unusual size in some respects. So we've got gutter runners, we've got the Triads, and there's Deathmaster Snitch. We've got Evil Splinter over here backing up some more units, and basically they're surrounded. They're surrounded, and all they can see is this band of Skaven slaves. I mean, okay, so basically we've got a contract. This is canon. We've got a contract to kill this Dreadlord over here. And we got the weapons from Clan Scryer. Bought the weapons. Didn't have enough money for clan rats. That's unfortunate. So slaves. We've just got Skaven slaves. They're there to basically just keep the Dark Elves off our mortars, assuming any survive to reach them. So we've got the Clan Eshin units now moving in from behind, just slowly closing the nets, waiting until all the Dark Elves are on top of the bridge, and then we can well and truly blat them. So moving up into position, here we go, lining up, and yeah, these Dark Elves are not in for a good time. They're probably looking at these guys going, what the fuck are those guys carrying? That's a bit weird, isn't it? Say the people who fill entire armies of naked women, but you know what? That's fine. That's their that's their thing. That's their theme. That's their artistic flair. Fair enough. Good on them. That's fine. My artistic flair is launching huge numbers of death globes at them. Yep, that'll do it. So the poison wind actually does damage over time. So you'll see their health starts draining. And we're now closing the net. Here we go. They've been spotted. The Witch Elves have been attacked in the flank by the clan Eshin. Triads. We've got the Death Runners coming around the flank as well. Gutter Runners filling... I mean, this is the problem when you don't wear armour. When you just wear bikinis, ladies, this is the problem, isn't it? We've talked about this before, haven't we? More Witch Elves being engaged, and yeah, they're not going to do very well against that. Deathmaster Snitch has spotted his quarry just across the bridge. Meanwhile, the Dark Elves trying to cross the bridge are getting absolutely fucking murdered. Look at this. Absolute carnage. I mean, the Skaven slaves aren't doing very well, but then you get what you're paid for, don't you? So here comes that Dark Vortex ability. That's going to do a lot of damage. It means Deathmaster Snitch has the opportunity to sneak through this little engagement, but he gets caught up by some Black Ark Corsairs. That's less than ideal. We need him out of there, ideally, because he needs to get to the Dreadlord, who's just standing there. So we're going to use his Poisoned Wind. Not Poisoned Wind, sorry. Weeping Blade ability. There we go. That's going to mince a few people, and that's going to free him up, and then he's going to be able to race towards the Dreadlord. Meanwhile, the mortars are doing a lot of friendly fire, and they do a lot of friendly fire, to be fair, but they have their downsides as well. Skaven slaves are running away. Useless bastards. Unfortunately, they've done their job, and it looks like we are going to be holding off the enemy units. Deathmaster Snitch has engaged the Dreadlord. The Dreadlord is not having a good time, although Deathmaster Snitch is getting filled full of crossbow bolts, but I think he's okay with that. He's fine. And yeah, the Dreadlord is... Deathmaster Snitch is absolutely brutal. He has this scaling damage ability, which means he does more damage the less health the unit has. So yeah, the Dreadlord is running away now. Our Clan Eshin units mopping up the Dark Elf survivors. Not much left. There's Evil Splinter. He's just getting to the crest of the ramp, and he sees the Dreadlord running and Deathmaster Snitch chasing after him. He's like, do you need any help, boss? Because I can chuck some shurikens at him if you like. Bop, knocks him to the ground. Deathmaster Snitch is like, cheers, Evil Splinter, and then gets right in there, and then bop, go on, bop him. There we go, bopped. Well and truly bopped. There we go. The enemy lord is dead. Contract complete. Yes, a lot of slaves died, but I'm sure we went wrong somewhere anyway. So there we go. So the death. Oh, let's have a look at these guys. I love these guys. 115 kills. Only 46 and 28 on the Poisoned Wind. But what I'm not sure about is if the deaths from the Poisoned Wind ability that drains their health counts as their kills or not. I suspect not, but I could be wrong. So this is the new DLC, The Shadow and the Blade. It's out 12th of December, and it's really good. I mean, as with all of Creative Assembly's DLCs, every single one just seems to up the ante a little bit. So really, really good. I'm loving it so far. Can't wait until I can start playing some campaigns with these guys. But until then, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.